Hey guys, welcome to Ticks and Magic, where we try to turn our hindsight to your foresight. Now, I've had a lot of people ask me, yo Hugo, you do a lot of things. How do you manage your time effectively? I have so many ideas. How do I even get them off the ground? Oh my days, I'm so busy that there's not enough time in the world. Oh, I wish there was more than 24 hours. I'm so busy. I forgot how to do that. I forgot this. I forgot that. How do I just manage my time effectively? And not just even more effectively, how do I manage my time to be more productive? Now, we're going to be answering those things and more, and I'm going to be telling you basically more so of how do I do and how do I handle my time to be more effective. Now, obviously, if you don't know me personally, I'm typically a very busy person. Typically for the past probably 8 years, I've kind of consistently been kind of busy. Whether right now I'm working, I'm part of / leading a couple leading 2 organizations, in about 4 organizations / businesses, doing my investing, property on the way, work, loads of different things, spoken word, family, friends, hobbies, all those kind of things. And there's just loads of stuff that I'm personally doing. And then I find that sometimes you can think that there's not enough time in the day, but the question is less about how much time you have, but how effective do you use that time. So today I'm going to be talking about things that I've done, do, and will keep on doing to basically manage my time more effectively. So if that sounds good to you, do us a favor, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. We're on our road to 200, so that would mean a lot, and it's free. But even more so, we go into schools, secondary schools, youth clubs to educate kids about stuff that's not being taught in schools. So if you want to be a mentor and follow us in doing that and imparting somebody's life and just being a bit more fulfilled in that sense in terms of giving back, please jump into the comments, hit us on any of our socials, and yeah, straight into the video. Now, the first thing you need to understand, and the first question you need to ask yourself before you can even come over here to be talking about handling your time more effectively is the question you have to ask yourself is, how self-aware of you are you in the terms of how do you like to work? Do you have proclivity? Proclivity. Do you have proclivity, which just means are you more likely to procrastinate at times? Do you find peaks and troughs of energy? Do you lose motivation quickly? Do you get distracted quickly? How do you like to work? Do you like to work outdoors? Do you like to work indoors? So the first question you need to ask yourself is, how do you like to work? And how do you like to get things done? And do you have a tendency when you're hungry to not be focused on food? So this is just about collectively understanding yourself. I understand that myself, if I don't have breakfast and I haven't had enough sleep at night, I'm very typically tired in the morning, and then when I get to the afternoon I eat a lot, so then I'm now overfilled, and then I get tired towards the evening, and it doesn't help me in terms of doing work. Now, in order to combat these things, it's about firstly understanding your shortfalls. So how quickly do you get distracted? Because I could be doing work and then, I'm not gonna lie, I'll start watching some Mulan, I'll make a man out of you, we'll start playing, and before you know it, I'm really doing some nostalgia hour. But so the first thing I'm going to talk about is if you're someone who procrastinates, how do you effectively use your procrastination to make you productive? Now, procrastination and dodging and laziness, procrastination is not always a bad thing. Sometimes procrastination allows you to actually have time to think about what you need to do to effectively do what you need to do. So, for example, if I have a lot of things to do, let's say it's a Saturday and I have 6 or 7 things I need to do, what I do is I have my own 25-minute rule. So basically, for each hour is dedicated to one thing, or every 2 hours even if it's 4 hours of revision, it's dedicated to one thing. Now that time's allocated. Now the minimum bar for me to do work in that time is 25 minutes. Now, so the aim is 25 minutes, 35 minutes break. Yes, I give myself more break than I do time to do work. Now the thing is, once that time is there, my phone goes to the other side of the room, and then for those 25 minutes, I work on that. Now, that 25 minutes is set in the sense of I cannot do less than 25 minutes, but assuming I find myself, in good form and I'm in the rhythm, I'm in the mood, and I find myself being very motivated in what I'm doing, I'm allowed to go past the 25 minutes, and if I reach 40 minutes, 50 minutes, I just cut into my break. Now, if you go into the second hour, again, it resets, you go to 25 minutes. I found that to be very productive because instead of me being, taking a lot of procrastination, I gave myself more breaks and I gave myself work time to make sure that I'm more productive and add more quality in the time that I'm working. But then if I end up finding myself that I'm adding more time throughout that 25 minutes, then I just cut into my break, and it's my own break that I'm sacrificing. And in doing that as well, if you are finding yourself like, having, let's say, writer's block, for example, you're writing an essay, it's not really going anywhere. Instead of giving yourself 2 hours and just, my days, you're just stressed and nothing's coming down. Those 2 hours are wasted. It's very good if you tactically input breaks into what work you're doing, and then you find yourself to be more productive. So the first thing we want to talk about is the 25-minute rule that I put for myself. Now, the second thing to talk about in terms of just managing your time better is I'm going to combine them into two of the same thing, and it's so simple. It's not even simple. I'm not gonna lie, I'm very lazy in doing this, but using a calendar. And I'm talking about the calendar that you have on your phone, and at the same time, a calendar / a checklist. So I prefer checklists. I get a paper, I write down what do I need to accomplish today. I write down the 10 things that I need to accomplish today, and I tick them off by the end of the day. Now, it's really good because now you get, sometimes when you're doing a lot, you can get to the end of the day and feel like you've not done anything. But that's because you've been so busy that you haven't really recalled what you actually did or what you needed to do. Now, when you write down a list in the day, it allows you to say, okay, these are my priorities today, and this is what I'm going to be checking off today. And then once you've checked off those things, then you're good to go. You're all right, you're chilled. And then you know that you've accomplished something today, and that way you feel that you've accomplished it. Now, when the calendar comes to the place, that it makes you to more dynamic in filling in your time, because some of you guys, which we were going to say later, but we added to this one, is that the reason why you're not managing your time properly is because you don't know how to say no. And you don't know how to actually allocate your time properly, because the function of a calendar is to make sure that you know what time you have free. Now, when you're using your calendar, it's not just for you to book business things, you also need to book personal things. So when you have a lot of things that you actually are doing in your time management thing, your time management skills is about setting time for loads of things. Now, I believe there's a time for everything, and when there's that time is for that, you use it for that. So when it comes into you using your calendar and your checklist, you need to put that time and put in order of how you want to order things. But when you have a calendar, using a checklist, these will definitely keep you on track. Now, just to add on top of the calendar, even if you have a free day, for example, for those who are working from home, I find that using my calendar makes me more productive, in the sense of that I know what I want to be achieving during this time. So you take that checklist and you put it into there. So if it's I need to read this, whether you're in uni or whatever, if I need to do this during this time, it gives me more purpose. So sometimes days that I even have meetings make me more productive, because I can see the actual time that I have to work, as opposed to just having a whole free day. So you feel like you can do anything, and then before you know it, you're on the bed chilling. So guys, on top of the calendar, something that I find very good for myself is to create a timetable for the week. I've created timetables for the week in terms of not just both in terms of work I'm doing, but for those of you that, when I know in terms of reflection on myself, when I'm very busy, I forget to eat. So I have a timetable of what food I'm supposed to eat. It sounds a bit mundane, it sounds a bit like secondary school, but I find that this way I find myself not forgetting to eat. Like today, I've got to eat breakfast because I haven't made my timetable for this week. But last 3 weeks, I've eaten 3-4 courses of meals a day. Not courses, 3-4 times a day. Courses is like appetizer. I've been having dessert as well. So making a timetable is really good and makes you very efficient. Now, we're speaking about checklists, so basically writing down what you need to do, and use post-it notes if you need to. Your calendar, very important. Use that. And I use AnyDo. Yeah, AnyDo is like once immediately I tell somebody I'm going to do something, I write that down as a task that I'm set to do, and it sends me a reminder. So AnyDo is a good way. Obviously, we've spoken about calendars, we've spoken about writing down lists and checklists, and we've talked about you wondering, doing a self-assessment of how you work properly. What environment do you work the best? And whether it's about sleeping, eating, all of those things affect your time management and your productivity. If you're spending loads on Uber, it's not because of it's because you're waking up late, and that's because you didn't go to bed on time, and that's because you're not eating enough, so you're very tired. All those things are very important. So on top of that, what we're going to now be talking about is, after you've done your self-awareness, all these 5 things, what you need to really understand for yourself is, what is actually your capacity? Like, how much time do you actually have to give, and how much things can you actually deliver, how much things can you actually do. Because some people, they say yes to everything. Like we said previously, if you've not learned how to say no, your time management is going to be out of whack. But what is your actual capacity to deliver all these things? Now, sometimes it's one of those things. The hard thing about when it comes to time management is that when you now start writing down the checklist and start writing down what your priorities are, then you'll be able to say no to things and then realize, I don't actually have capacity to do this. Like, it's not easy for, some days, yes, stretch yourself, but don't consistently stretch yourself, because in the long term you will destroy yourself. Now, for those of you who have ideas, who have visions, who have started businesses, have dreams, all these things. Now, for those people, some of the people that come to me asking me about, how do I manage my time, or how do I get started, or all those kind of things. And one of the things that you find as a problem with you guys, is, and this was to me as well, is you man are so busy doing everything that sometimes you guys even forget what the reason of your business is doing. You're too busy doing everything. Now in the beginning, yeah, it's good, but it's about delegation. Delegate the work where it needs to be. So if you don't know how to delegate, and you're too much of a control freak, and you're too much of hands-on on everything, and you don't trust the people you're working with, now the first thing you need to do is you make sure that the people you're with, you trust them, or the people who are helping you, you trust them. Now when you delegate, I'm saying delegation can mean finding people in a team to help you out. Delegation can also mean that if it is cheaper for somebody else to do this in terms of your time, then just pay the person to do this. So delegate where you can, and don't try to hog up all the work. And now on top of delegation, that's another form of delegation that I touched on, is it kind of sums up into, you need to understand, what is your time actually worth? Now, what is your time actually worth? Some people don't actually know what their time is worth. And so sometimes in the beginning, especially when you're starting, you're like, okay, because I've started now, I'm going to do everything myself. And because of that, now your whole time is consumed in what you're doing. But this is what I'm talking about. What is your time worth? Now, if you're earning £15 an hour or £20 an hour, when your business is generating you £20 an hour, now, let's say you're doing a full-time job, £20 an hour, and then what you're doing now is work that you could actually give somebody for £5 an hour. Now, when I mean delegation in this point, is that financially, it may be more beneficial for you to delegate some of these jobs in the financial sense, or outsource them, either on Fiverr, etc., to make your time more productive. There's no reason why, let's say you have a clothing business, there's no reason why you should be wasting your time stitching the clothes when you can use that time to be doing marketing, and you should just go and buy the things from maybe China or a manufacturer or somebody who can do that on a cheaper level to make your time more available for yourself. So you need to know what your time is worth for you, even in the sense of when you're managing your time, whether it's going to go out with friends, whether it's going to businesses, whether it's going to work and stuff like that. Even when you're spending your money, if you look at it like this, now if I'm going to spend this £200, is this £200 worth the 10 hours that I used to gain that money? So when you put your time into perspective, okay, I'm going, and when it's both qualitative and quantitative. The benefit I get from going to see friends and family on a monetary scale is it's kind of invaluable, because it refreshes me. It's something that doesn't even seem as work. But then at some time, that time can be used more beneficial for me to be doing a certain job that I need to be doing, or a certain task which is on my checklist. And once you write your checklist, you have to check it off. Now, one of the biggest ways I've found to manage my time more productively, and this is probably the biggest one that I tell people, and has helped me very specifically, is just dynamically managing my priorities. And what does that mean? It means that there's so many things that you're doing, as I mentioned at the beginning, there's different organizations, different things that I'm working on, etc. But you need to learn how to balance and what is a priority at this point in time. Now, for me, if we're going on, if our holiday is in two months' time, I'm not talking about it with you today until a month's time or 2 weeks before. Even to be honest, if I'm very busy, the only calls I'm answering is the people that I need to be meeting in the next 5 hours. There's only messages or calls that I'm taking at that point in time, or the person I need to see tomorrow or the next week. So in terms of dynamically balancing your priorities, is about changing what is important. So obviously, priority as a word itself initially was a singular word. There was no plural word to it. It was just priority, as in what is the first main thing that you have that is important to you, what is prior to everything. And then we obviously now we have priorities as a plural, but in terms of priority, you can only have one priority at a time. So dynamically, adjusting your priorities. So what is your priority at this point in time? So let's say you are doing businesses, you're going to work, you're going to school, you're going to this, you're going to that, you have all these things to juggle, but then it's like, what is important for now? What is important for tomorrow? What is important for the week? And what's important for the month? Now, if you do that accordingly, then you manage your time accordingly. So right now, if let's say with Tixi Membership Scheme, if that's what is my priority at this day in time, if you're coming to me to chat to me about anything else, then it's not happening. Those are the people I'm speaking to at this point in time. It'll be about Tixi Membership Scheme. If it's about another organization, it'll be about that. If it's chill time, anybody can get it. If it's time for the family, then my phone typically goes off. If it's time for my friends, you're not really that time is for that time. So there's time for everything, but you have to balance it out to make sure that you are not consumed by one thing. So you need to dynamically manage your priorities. So I know people who are trying to be podcaster, YouTuber, singer, songwriter, still trying to get their degree, still trying to do their course, still trying to see family, see friends. These are all important things, but you need to be able to juggle it in a way that makes sense. So you need to dynamically adjust your priorities when they come. So if right now, when you write your checklist for this week, you have to meet up with a friend tomorrow, you have a meeting on Wednesday, and then you have to see family on Thursday. The day prior, that's when or 2 days before, or depending on the level of it, I'll be messaging you to do that. But until that point in time, it's not that important, So you need to know how to manage your time dynamically for you to actually manage all the things that you want to do. Because you only have 24 hours in a day. And when you, at the end of the day, when you check off that list, like, yeah, I'm hitting this thing, then it just makes sense. And lastly, because I've been waffling and this is just a more chilled setting, it's just easier for me to talk. There's not going to be much editing in this. But the last thing as well, in terms of a long-term time management, comes down into goal setting and your vision/purpose, if you found what your purpose is. Now, if you have a long-term goal in terms of, okay, cool, I'm going to take an exam in a month's time, your time management should work towards that goal in terms of, okay, how much hours do I need to put in? Is it 5 hours, 6 hours, a week, a month to get to that goal? If you want to be graduated in 2 years' time, how much time do I need to put in there? If I want to buy a car by the end of the year, how much time do I have to put in terms of work? So in terms of time management, we've been talking about it in kind of like a short scale kind of thing, but if you take that out into a larger scale thing, then you now understand how your short-term goals and your short-term time management leads to you achieving whatever you want to achieve. So we'll talk about all those other things like goal setting, vision, purpose, how to find purpose, all those kind of things in another video. But today we have a Tixi Membership Scheme on the road to 200 people subscribed. Hopefully this video has provided you some kind of insight and some kind of help. If not, hit the dislike button. Let us know that it was trash. But if it was good, now wow for you. You don't just come in, slide in, hit the like button, hit the subscribe. And yeah, have a blessed day, guys. Take care. Bye.